Modern medicine does not offer us a lot of help to prevent heart disease. Take a statin and hope for the best, right? Heart disease is still by far and away the #1 cause of death here in the United States, with a staggering 600,000 plus people dying every year. Is there anywhere in the modern world where people aren't dying of heart disease as the #1 cause? I looked into that, and in fact, there is one country that is a little bit different, and that country is Japan. The Japanese do not have heart disease as their first cause of death, and in fact are 5 times less likely to die of a heart-related condition than we are here in the United States. So what's their secret? Some people believe, and some studies support, that it's a form of sticky, slimy, stinky food that the Japanese people eat. I'm Dr. Ben Quist, and stick around to hear more about this Japanese superfood. Okay, the food that I'm talking about is natto. Some people believe that the Japanese increased longevity and better heart health is because many of them habitually consume natto on a daily basis. Natto is created when you ferment soybeans, and it's been a traditional cuisine in Japanese and also many Asian countries throughout the world for hundreds and hundreds of years, typically served over rice or on toast. When you ferment the soybeans, it creates an enzyme called nattokinase. And nattokinase has gotten a lot of buzz in the supplement research world lately as a possible supplement for heart health. This has led to a veritable explosion of nattokinase supplements on the market. So what's better? Should you just pop a couple nattokinase tablets, or should you eat natto? And that's what I want to get down to discussing today. So let's look at natto first. What is in natto that makes it so healthy for the Japanese? As I said before, many people believe that enzyme that is created when the soybeans ferment, nattokinase, may have potential good benefits for our hearts, but also natto is the #1 source of vitamin K2 out of any food in the world. And many people in our society here in America are deficient in vitamin K2, which also has been talked a lot about in the research circles as far as being a very heart-healthy vitamin. So let's talk a little bit more about vitamin K. So natto is our best natural source of it, and we really don't get much of it in the United States. When you talk about vitamin K, you need to think of it more like a B vitamin. Vitamin K has many different kind of versions of it, and the 2 broad branches of the vitamin are vitamin K1 and vitamin K2. And K2 is really where Americans may be deficient. K1 we get through leafy greens and many of the vegetables that we eat, but K2 typically comes only from animal products or fermented products. And typically only animals that have eaten grass in their natural diet produce K2, and then we would get it from those animals. But since many people are no longer eating grass-fed beef or things of that nature, it's really become a vitamin that may be deficient in many people. So that's why some type of supplementation or some type of food that has a lot of K2 may be a really good idea. So let's talk about the recommended amount of vitamin K2 that a human should eat. In 1 tablespoon of natto, you get your entire daily serving of vitamin K2. So that's pretty great. And natto has 15 times as much K2 as cheese and about 200 times as much as sauerkraut. So it really is like K2 rockstar. The other thing that's interesting about natto is it is a fermented food. And many experts recommend having a little bit of fermented food with each of your meals each day. A little bit of kefir in the morning, a little bit of sauerkraut with lunch, and maybe a little bit of natto with dinner. So about 3 tablespoons of natto, which is roughly about 45 to 50 grams, has roughly 6 grams of carbohydrate, 6 grams of fat, and 9 grams of protein. 3 of those grams of carbohydrate come in the form of fiber. Natto also has a really nice dosing of other vitamins and minerals. Some of the standouts are magnesium, potassium, copper, and many others. Natto also has a really nice dosing of other vitamins and minerals. Some of the standouts are magnesium, potassium, copper, and many others. So man, when we look at natto, you get a probiotic, you get a prebiotic with the fiber, you get a high dose of vitamin K2, a host of other good minerals and vitamins, in addition to the fact that it has nattokinase. And the more that you look at vitamin K2, it is really a standout in the research as potentially helping with bone health and heart health. So what doesn't natto do as far as being a really great food for us to eat? So when it comes down to it, at the crux of the matter, I personally believe, it's my opinion, that eating natto in its traditional form is way better for you than taking a nattokinase supplement. Because it may be a combination of all the different factors inside of that natto that's creating that good response for the Japanese, and not just that one little enzyme that is produced. And to take that as a supplement and take it out of the natto, I don't believe it's going to give the same longevity effect or the same effect for heart health. In our Western view, many times we try to reduce something down to its core property and think that we're going to get all the benefits from it. And I really disagree with that reductionistic view that we have in our society. I think many times getting the full food or the full item is much better. And I'll give you a couple examples. If you take natural vitamin C, there are a lot of other components to that versus a synthetic or ascorbic acid. And it takes about 4 capsules of natural vitamin C to get the same amount of vitamin C as in one synthetic ascorbic acid tablet. Other examples are trying to take vitamin D in a capsule, synthetic vitamin D, versus getting vitamin D from the reaction of the sun on our skin. I don't think the two are the same thing. And I also don't think it's the same thing with natto, that taking nattokinase and removing it and putting it in a tablet is going to give you the same benefit as eating the actual substance. So the first and the main downside of natto, in my opinion, is, I'm not going to lie, it is definitely acquired taste. I've been eating natto for about 6 months now, and I'm going to show you a little film of one of our coaches, Rock, trying natto for the first time, and let's just get his honest, unfiltered feelings on how he felt the consistency, the texture, the taste was. So here you go. Here's Rock.
So taste test of this. Initial smell is beans that have been left out in the sun for, quite a while. And consistency looks like spider webs, like spider eggs almost. Look at that dripping. Okay, and might as well go for it, right? It's got a big glob here. Oh my God. Shit. That is something I probably wouldn't eat on a regular basis. That's slimy. That's really slimy. God, that is really slimy.
Okay, so you can see that it wasn't a really good first experience for him. I thought he was pretty brave in that he got it down. Like, you could tell he was having trouble actually even swallowing that substance. But as someone who's been doing it for 6 months now, it does get easier over time if you kind of acquire that taste. I think of natto as like a stinky cheese makes it easier for me to consume it. And I'll give you a couple tips on how to consume it at the end of the video as well. So another potential downside of natto would be, is it expensive? So in looking at what a dosing of natto would be, so to get the effects that were in the studies that I mentioned before, as far as the nattokinase study, in addition to the larger observational study with the increased longevity, it would be roughly 2 to 3 tablespoons of natto a day. Now, 2 to 3 tablespoons of natto from the company where I buy my natto from costs roughly about $1.46 a day. So somewhat expensive, but if you look at it from the thought process of what does it cost to take a vitamin K2 supplement and what does it cost to take a nattokinase supplement, that would ring the register at about $2 or more a day. So actually it's a cost savings with natto. So the other possible downside may be that natto might be hard to get. And when I first started looking into it, it was a little bit tougher to get, but the company where I've been buying it from, which is a company in New York, it's like a deli that makes it, actually sells it on Amazon now. So that's kind of nice. So you don't have to be like a scientist fermenting soybeans in your kitchen to get natto. You can order it directly from reputable companies that are producing it here in the United States. My final bits of advice for you who are those adventurous few who may actually decide to consume natto is try to consume it in one of the following ways. And if anyone comes up with better ways or better recipes for natto, I would love to know them, so please comment below. But the 3 or 4 ways I've been doing it that has worked for me is, number 1, and I call this the bum rush approach. You just scoop those 3 tablespoons, 2 or 3 tablespoons out, and you just glump them down, just like Rock did before. The second method, which I've been doing more recently, is I've been blending it into my morning protein shake. So when you have other things in the shake, like maybe there's some berries, bananas, flaxseed, whatever, protein powder, whatever you're putting in there, it's kind of the stealth version of getting the natto into your system. And I found that I can't even taste it when I blend it into the shake. So that has been my number 1 choice for consuming natto currently. Other things I've tried plopping it on top of salads. That's worked okay. It does go really nicely with rice, which the Japanese do in their homeland. And additionally, I've tried putting it in bean burritos, and that also has worked out pretty good. So like I said, if you have other ideas or options for natto consumption, I would love to hear about them. Okay guys, so that about wraps it up. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's giving you some food for thought. And please, like the video. Please comment below if you have questions. Please subscribe to our channel. We're doing goofy videos on things like this all the time, and we love to have you guys watching them. Hit your notifications bell so you know when we put out a new video. And most importantly, have a great rest of your day.